Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the special council meeting of November 30th, 2020. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. Be it resolved that the Township of Greater Madawaska Council calls to order the November 30th, 2020 special council meeting at 3 p.m. All in favor? Carried. And is there any additions, deletions, excused? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson, that the agenda of the special council meeting of November 30th be approved as presented. All in favor? Carried. And is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. And we move down to 9, finance and administration. So the first item on the agenda is 911S1, leg service delivery review. So this is the final report, and the leg service delivery is the group of municipalities that went together and applied for a grant. We're successful in this grant, and we hired a consultant to come in and work with all the municipalities and to come up with ways that we could improve our efficiency to save monies throughout the various organizations. So we see the document that was sent out to you, I think it's some time ago, was after the last council meeting, as a roadmap for us to start reviews in the, probably starting in the new year, to meet with municipalities, the other municipalities, and pick a section of it. For example, if we pick fire, then we'll call all the people that should be involved in it for the fire and come up with what do we perceive we can do, and we'll use the report to guide us, but it's only a starting block. To the heavy lifting is still to be done. This will guide us and get us started, but then we'll have to work with each of the municipalities and see what we feel we can do. And once that is determined, each municipality will make a decision whether they want to be part of it or not. So as we went through this, some municipalities were concerned with various items coming up, but in the end, I think we all felt pretty content that we would sit through the session on each of the different disciplines or departments that we're discussing. And after we come up with a plan, then we'll say, well, whether our township wants to be in or not in. So, you know, while this is a very lengthy document, the detail may help us as we get into the process. Some of it will have to be reviewed, you know, in great detail, and others won't, depending on how it affects each municipality. So what we're looking today is to have the document approved, and it'll be then shelved until the new year. But each municipality has to approve it so that we can pay the consultant for the work that we consider now complete by them. So do I have any questions on that report? Yes, Councillor Perrier.
I have several questions, and I will send them to Allison via email, but just a couple of quick ones. Is how did we determine what services, or did the leg determine what services to look at?
Well, we tried to review. They looked at every department, and then they focused in on the ones that they felt could bring us, you know, the cost savings.
Okay. Has anybody looked at or considered the Community Wellness and Safety Planning Committee that was headed up by former Dead Commander Slight? To see, is there an, maybe I'm getting too much in the weeds, just tell me, because I took out the stuff and I see there's some stuff on safety here, so I'm hoping that the work that we've done is not gone by the wayside.
Well, As a matter of fact, the county has gone through a similar process, and that is one item that we have discussed at the county on whether, that we should look at it instead of doing a few municipalities and the way that Slate set it up and up in Killaloo, there's a group looking at it. Then there we're saying, is there a way that we could be looking maybe on a broader spectrum? So we are looking at it at the county level. I'm not sure where that'll end up because, but also as we get into this, Lucy, anything that has not been addressed, we certainly can add it as we meet because, like I say, they've captured what they've seen were the items we should be focusing on, but anything that we choose to certainly can be done at that time.
Okay, so what I'll do then, I'll address my questions to Allison and I'll CC you on it and then you guys can chat. I just want clarification on a few things. I don't want to bore our treasurer and Allison and whoever else's face is on my laptop. So I'll send an email.
And what will happen is as we start the reviews, well, if you're the counselor heading up fire, for example, well then hopefully that you'd be able to join in on that stream of meetings. And but before we move forward on any one of the departments or disciplines, it is my intention that we would bring it back to council and say what's involved, what kind of staff time's involved, what kind of savings do we perceive getting out of it, and is there any cost in going through it?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, second by Councillor McPherson. The resolution is the council adopt the lag service delivery review final report prepared by Dillon Consulting Limited in partnership with Performance Concepts Consulting as a guiding document in defining key strategies for greater efficiency and effectiveness in partnership with other municipalities subject to annual budget approval, and that the direct the Chief Administrative Officer to report back to Council in Q1 2021 on a detailed action plan, including management response to recommendations made by the consulting team in conjunction with the participating municipalities. All in favor? Carried. And 911 S2, policy 248, COVID-19. And Allison, do you want to speak to that?
So we've had a number of these procedures in place, an operating procedure, but just to have it formalized that it's one document so that council and staff are aware of the protocols and as they relate to COVID-19. And once COVID-19 has passed, this policy would no longer be in effect.
Okay, any questions of council on that document?
Yep. Which one of our neighbors do we scoop this from? Admiston or McNabb or?
Town of Arm.
I'm sorry, so was there some concern with that check?
I was just curious.
Oh. Okay. Anything further? Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council approves policy 248 COVID-19 as presented. All in favor? Carried. (911) S3 statutory holiday request 2020. Allison?
So every year there is a request that comes forward as to what to do for Christmas for staff. And I did struggle with what to bring forward as I recognize the challenges our ratepayers are facing with COVID, but I also want to recognize the dedication and hard work and patience of staff for 2020. So this is a suggestion that I did struggle with. I'm open to suggestions. So if if this is deemed excessive or that's perfectly fine. I don't disagree. It's just I need to find something to recognize staff while being fair to the ratepayer, because I recognize that they are the ones that are ultimately paying for this.
Okay, and I'll open that up to council. Councillor Perrier.
How much did we spend last year?
Last year, I believe we provided Christmas lunches, as well as we did do a day off.
Yes,
Right, so
I
Thank you, Mr.
remember there was 2 half days. We got off, I think, the day before Christmas at noon, and another half day at New Year's. And so we provided the other 2 half days as well as the luncheon. Councillor Rigglehoff.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I believe that's what it was. They got the extra day. So now what's being proposed, and as Allison said, she's open to suggestions. Another 48 stat days for each staff, everyone getting an extra stat day in addition to the full stat day for Christmas Eve, and then a $4,800 lunch.
No, I don't think that's correct.
So not all of the staff that are mentioned are full-time. So that includes our fire department. So they don't get stats. So it's not 48 stat days. So there's approximately 18, and the treasurer can confirm that number, full-time people. So it's really 18 stat days. 18.
And also they're not getting those 2 half days that they got before. They're getting those in place of November 11th, which wasn't taken. So they're getting the same number of days off. Last year they got 1 day additional. This year it's 1 day additional. That's correct, right, Allison?
That is correct.
Okay, Councillor Perrier.
I would reduce the $100 to 75 myself. If you, well, and hear me out, I'll explain, and you guys can decide what you'd like to do. But a lunch last year didn't equal $100, right? So I'm just saying maybe down to 75 would be a better number. Just a suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. Isn't that our per diem anyway, as well as counselors? I think of $75. So I would think it would go in line with that. And that's our daily per diem, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you, Lucy. $75 is fair.
Okay. Anything further? Councillor McPherson.
Well, I guess I might as well weigh in here as well. It's always important to recognize the hard work and the dedication of staff. And so in that respect, I think that something is certainly appropriate. It's been a difficult year for all of us, and certainly from a working perspective, it's been more trying times in 2020 than in previous years. So it's not just the stress of doing your job and doing it well, but it's the added stress of being a frontline worker. And most of our staff, if not all, are considered frontline workers. So I think it's right and appropriate that we should recognize them. I as well felt that maybe $100 was a little too rich. Again, not that they don't deserve it, but back to our CAO's comment that it is taxpayer dollars, so we have to be, we have to keep that in mind at all times. And if $75 makes sense, then I'm certainly in support of that. I do think it's good to recognize them with something. So I certainly support doing something for our staff.
Okay, so I'll revise the resolution based on the recommendation, and I'll read it. So moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, second by Councillor McPherson. The council for 2020 observed December 29th as a statutory, I'm going to put a or floater, so holiday in addition to the statutory or floater holidays observed as per policy 231. And furthermore, if Public Works Department is called out to a snow incident, that they will be permitted to take their holiday at a later date. And furthermore, that all employees are gifted a $75 gift certificate. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Council.
Mhm.
Circulation date of council agenda, discussion item.
You want me to talk to that?
Okay.
Okay. What I was trying to do
Well,
is I had, when I first joined, I was asking if we could have our council package on Thursday. It gives us Friday and Monday to be able to ask staff questions. And Renee will attest to this because I spent a half an hour on the phone with her and she answered all my questions like that. So I'm just saying if we could have the council package on Thursday around 4 o'clock, then it gives me and other councillors, you go, fill your boots and say what you think. But it just gives me Friday and part of Monday to be able to ask staff because if I don't mind working Saturday, Sunday and read the package, but there's nobody in the office for me to ask questions.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That's fair. Any other comments from council on this? So this is a discussion item.
Mhm.
Is everyone else be satisfied with getting it at end of day Thursday, which is for
Oh. Yeah, I concur.
Councillor McPherson?
Yeah, certainly getting it on Thursday will be beneficial. There are times when I have thought if I could have it a day earlier, that would be better because it means that I maybe have plans for the weekend and don't really want to take away from family time, etc. Having said that, I think what is maybe appropriate is to ask for some input. We do have a couple of staff on the call, so we have our CAO and we have Renee as well. Is getting it out a day earlier, is that going to cause an issue? Is that, is there a concern with doing that? Do we have to move deadlines up by a day? We should know both sides of it. So as counselors, obviously getting it a day earlier is better for us. But is that going to be a challenge from a production standpoint?
I believe that we will need to move the deadline when reports are due up, just because of the reports need to be assembled into an agenda and then reviewed prior to being circulated to council. So I do think that it will need to be moved up. I can't say if there's any significant concerns with that. I think if staff are made aware of that for future meetings, that they can plan accordingly. So I think it's something that can be managed. So we will make every effort for the next council meeting to have it out on Thursday. And if there are concerns or there's something that it can't be achieved, then we will be in touch. I will be in touch to advise council as to the reason that it's not being circulated on Thursday.
Okay. So we'll leave that with you.
Excuse me, Mayor, I believe you missed the reserve policy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe that was intentional.
Well, I was trying to get your attention, but I didn't get through soon enough.
911 S4 draft reserve and reserve fund policy.
So I've attached a a memo that discusses the township currently doesn't have a reserve and reserve fund policy, although we are following, internal guidelines and principles in regards to reserves. It's good to have a reserve and reserve fund policy to offer some financial stability and set monies aside for long-term goals, as well as basically creating a threshold. So the policy that's before you, it has a current, I think, contribution that's between 6 and 8% of the levy. Currently, we do 6%. That's how I set that one. So it would be basically it's a policy that would allow us to make the same contribution as we do right now, and over time build on that to align with goals in our asset management plan and financial plan. So the policy is up for tonight's just being tabled, and hoping to have it adopted at the next meeting if council wishes. I have received some responses regarding the policy, so I'll be making minor adjustments to it and distributing you a new adjusted a copy that's just removed a few things that had stayed when I was creating the draft. But otherwise, this will be a policy we could hopefully move forward with. Also, to add to that, there's a review on the structure also. So we have numerous reserves currently, some that are similar and whatnot, but they fall within the asset management plan as just basically a capital expenditure. So allowing us to consolidate some of these reserves would offer a benefit to how we would use them as per the asset management plan.
Councillor Perrier.
So we can just send you comments, Renee, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we can get all those comments early enough, because we'd like to bring a final draft to, or a potential final draft to the December meeting. I think ours is December 14th. Anyway, and Renee, are we going to look at somehow notifying the monies that we have going to the TCA, tangible capital asset account now, such as gas tax, part of our OMPF, and so on?
Yeah, so currently the contribution is 6%. That excludes some of the like the mayor mentioned, the gas tax and OCIF or OMPF funding we receive. We currently apply it straight to the capital. So I'll be identifying those to demonstrate the pure, like the real contribution to our asset management plan is really what it is, because we will be, although we're making the contribution at this point, the assets required for replacement are quite large. So the contributions are being utilized by year, but over time, these amounts would allow us to build our reserves, to be self-sustaining.
Yes, thank you. I feel that that's important to make that part of the policy. In that way, if staff chooses to or thinks we should go in any other direction, that they would need to come to council and get approval for a change in the philosophy on how we handle it. So that's good if we could make that part of it. Thank you. Anything further? Okay, now I'll move along like I was trying to do before. There's no minutes. And we're moving to a closed session, so I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, second by Councillor McPherson, the council meeting of November 30th, 2020 at 3:24 p.m. Enter into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board staff employees. All in favor? Carried.